to episode 123 of the Driftless Knitting podcast. My name is Jennifer. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Driftless Knitter, and I am so happy to be recording today. This is an unexpected opportunity, so I am kind of flying by the seat of my pants, but I'm really hoping to get a episode recorded, fill you in on what's been going on, what projects I've been working on, things I've finished, things I've acquired over the last few months. It has been quite a few months, I guess. That sounded weird coming out of my mouth. Since I've recorded, I think maybe 3 since I've done a full episode. I did record a couple short vlogs over the last few months. One in April when my husband and I kind of went on a little baby moon, kind of a local trip up to a different part of Wisconsin, and we ventured into Minnesota a little bit where we used to live and kind of just had a good time together, spent a little bit of time together for a long weekend. I recorded that, and then I did a little bit of a vlog at my in-laws farm, and that was maybe a month or so ago, end of May maybe. I should say, actually, today is July 8th, 2023. It is about 10:45 in the morning, and my almost 3-year-old son and my husband are off doing errands. They left about an hour ago, and I cleaned up, got myself ready, and then I'm like, what should I do in the last hour or so until they get home? And I thought, you know what? I'm going to try and sit down and record. I think things have just been so busy. We are, as many of you know, we are expecting our second baby at the end of August. So I think we have about 6.5 weeks until our due date. So we're very excited, but also we are not as prepared as maybe we should be. With that second baby, and you're chasing around, I was going to say a toddler, but he's pretty much just a little kid now. He is so busy and just so much fun. And it's hard to set aside moments where you can stop and organize and get things ready. So we're working on it. We started a little bit last night, moving things out of what used to be the office and what is now going to be the baby's room. And we're going to be doing more of that later on today, and then tomorrow as well. And then as the weeks go on, just fitting in little bits here and there, organizing the clothes and bringing things up from the basement. We kept, everything from our first son. So cleaning things and organizing and washing and figuring out what we still need, all of that fun stuff. So yes, life has just been busy. We've been off doing things with family and friends almost every weekend. I work full time. Chances to record are just few and very far between. So I, apologize for not having anything for you for such a long time, but also I thank you very, very much for understanding this time of life and knowing that I would be here every week or every other week if I could be, just like I used to. So thanks for hanging on there with me. Okay, so because I might have a short amount of time, I would just really love to jump in and start showing you guys what I've been working on. I have been posting on Instagram, again, not as much as I usually would without a small child and being pregnant, but you've seen probably some of these projects on Instagram, some of them not as much, but let's just get started. I'll show you some of my finished objects. So the first finished object I am going to show you is, most of these are baby knits. Not all of them, but most of them. So this is a Beloved bonnet by Tin Can Knits. This is done out of a DK weight yarn. I knit mine with Knit Circus Yarns Daring DK, which is an 80% superwash merino, 10% nylon, and 10% cashmere base. I know what you're thinking, cashmere for a baby, but it is so soft and it's actually quite durable. I have a sweater, like a t-shirt sweater that I knit out of Daring DK, and because of the superwash merino, it kind of, it's not as big of a deal if it gets something on it or gets a little dirty. I still probably wouldn't throw it into the washing machine, but I'm not as worried about getting it agitated and stuff when I hand wash it in the sink. And it's just so buttery soft, and what better thing to put on a little newborn, well, this won't be newborn, but a several month old baby. I knit the, I forget what sizes they offer, but it's probably the smallest size, though this will be perfect, I think, for him when he's like a few months old and it starts getting chilly out. He's, like I said, due at the end of August, so by, you know, October or so, this is probably going to be fitting him really well. This is our Sage Advice colorway, which is just a beautiful green. You will have remembered this, hopefully remembered this, from a sweater that I knit, the baby Ashley, the wee Ashley. This was done with the leftovers, the beloved bonnet. So that one is so fun. Highly recommend the pattern. It's just a great little gift too. I actually knit one for my friend Steph and their baby, who is now going to be 2. Yeah, his birthday is a couple weeks after, or a week after Hudson's, our son, and they're like a year apart. So he'll be 2 in September, and I knit one for her when she was pregnant, and it was a really, really fun knit. But then just knowing that it fit well and they loved using it was then my incentive to knit one for our next baby. So that was always my plan. I always wanted to knit another beloved bonnet. And I might actually, I'm thinking about knitting a larger one for if he grows out of that one, like by midwinter. I'd love to have another one like ready to go. But yeah, we'll see about that. So that was the beloved. The next thing I'll show you, I'm not sure which one I finished first. Probably this. Let's just do this one quick, because I cast this on and was knitting this on our baby moon. So this is the Flax Sweater by, oh my gosh, by Tin Can Knits. And a lot of Tin Can Knits today, apparently. This is like the worsted weight. So there is the Flax Light. I've knit a couple of those before. This is the worsted weight one. I had never knit the worsted before, but it was quick and fun. Just a really great pullover, kind of your basic raglan top down. This should fit him. This is the smallest size as well. I can't remember if it was like a 6-month size. They don't have like a newborn size, and besides he's gonna be born in the summer, so we don't need it until he's a little bit bigger. But yeah, I'm thinking this will fit him by December, November, December, maybe. I'm having trouble remembering, like, because he's gonna seem so much smaller than Hudson. I'm just thinking like, oh yeah, it's going to take forever for him to grow into this, but babies grow so fast. So who knows? But yeah, really loved knitting this. This was done with a Madeline Tosh worsted weight. I can't remember the name of the like base, but it's a Madeline Tosh 100% superwash merino, and the colorway is something like In the Forest or In the Trees or something. I bought this while we were on our vacation to North Carolina. So I showed the skein at some point after we got back from that trip last October. And in my vlog from our baby moon, I probably did talk about it a little more, because like I said, I had cast it on and was working on it on that trip. So yeah, I probably have more details about the yarn. Like I said, it's been months. It's been months since I finished this. So yeah, and it's just waiting. It's just hanging out. So yeah, it has that, if you guys are unfamiliar with the flax sweater, it has that garter stitch sleeve panel, which is really fun. And then yeah, the worsted weight just makes it so squishy. And I know it's going to be so nice and warm for him when winter rolls around. Okay, last baby knit, finished object baby knit, are these adorable little DK weight socks. So I knit these with some leftover yarn from a sample that somebody knit for Knit Circus. I can't remember, it was a cowl sample, and so sometimes we have other people knit some of our samples. We're all very busy. We can only knit so much, and we want to do things for ourselves. So even though I do knit samples a lot, I will talk about a couple of them in just a second. We can't knit them all. So we have a few people, friends of the company, that we send things out to. And we had a cowl knit with our 100 Acre Wood Modernist colorway in DK weight. I'm pretty sure this is Daring DK as well, which is the cashmere blend. But she sent back the leftovers of the yarn, and there was just this cute little ball of blue and brownish gold. You can kind of see some specks in there. And I'm like, that's the perfect colorway for a little boy baby knit. So I used it, because otherwise it'd be either sitting on a shelf somewhere, or we would have thrown it away. So I used it to make this cute little pair of socks. Our modernist colorways are like non-repeating, variegated, kind of stripy speckles. So they look different, but I'm okay with that. And yeah, whoa. This is, I'm trying to think of what pattern this is. I think I posted this on Knit Circus's Ravelry page, and I can't remember the pattern. It was kind of like a pattern from a bigger, like, company, not an individual designer. I mean, there was an individual designer, like, who designed them, but it was under, like, a bigger yarn company, pattern company name. And I cannot remember if it was like Patons. Maybe it was a Patons pattern. I don't know. Patons they do yarn, but they also do some patterns and stuff. But yeah, the really fun knit. They were top down with a little tiny like slip stitch heel flap, and just took a tiny bit of DK weight. So I loved those. I was hoping to get a few more pairs of like baby socks knit, but I do have some of hand knit socks and things from Hudson when he was born, so I need to go through those. I think I have at least 3 pairs, and they were barely used because his little feet were so chubby. He grew out of them really fast. Some of these things I'm like, I'm glad I have a second chance at it, because I didn't realize how fast he was growing, and then I would try something on him and I'm like, oh my gosh, like he's almost doesn't fit in this. And then by like a week or 2 later, it was totally outgrew it. So I'm going to be more mindful of that. I'm going to make sure I actually put our new one in some of these hand knits and don't like save them and, oh, soon I'll, it's like, no, just like use them while you can. And yeah, it doesn't matter if they get worn out or puked on or whatever. It doesn't matter. Just use them, because this is probably going to be our last child. We're only really, thinking we're going to have 2 kids. And I really want to get some good use out of these hand knits. So hold me accountable to that. Okay, last finished object is a pair of socks I cast on at the end of May, because this is part of a knit along, the Legacy Fiber Arts Knit Your Stash make along. And although it's Knit Your Stash make along, which I find kind of funny, but I think They were just trying to find, you know, a good name for it. The ladies at Legacy Fiber Arts, are kind of on hiatus right now because Sue, the main dyer behind the yarn, is moving up to Vermont to live near Chelsea, who is her daughter and the other half of the company. And they have a podcast. If you're unfamiliar with them, they have a great podcast, very inspiring. As a mom, I like following Chelsea. She has 2 little girls. I think they're 5 and 3, or like 6 and 3. And I admire her so much for being, I don't know if she would think of herself as a laid back parent, but she is kind of a laid back parent in the sense that she doesn't like police her kids getting messy and experimenting. And I have a little bit of anxiety when it comes to like just letting Hudson just go. I try not to be super controlling, but like I was watching a video of her girls just pretty much like dousing themselves in watered down paint out in the backyard, and I was like, man, those girls are having such a fun time. Like it reminds you to sort of like take a breath and just let kids be kids. And I really like following people who have that kind of mindset. So anyway, needless to say, she's inspiring for other reasons too. The crafting, the creating, Sue as well. I love, you know, their yarn. I did their like Sunday Advent yarn last year, the sock sets. If you watch my Vlogmas, you'll have seen those. And I had a little bit, not too much in my stash, but a little bit in my stash of theirs. And then, so now they're doing this knit along to kind of keep people involved, keep people interested while they're moving. So anyway, my first project for this are these socks. So beautiful. I've had this skein of yarn. Oh my gosh. Whoa. Just hit myself in the face. This skein of yarn in my stash for a few years. We did a trunk show with them at Knit Circus, not an in-person one or anything. I wish, I would love to meet them. But they like sent a box of yarn and we hosted their yarn for a few weeks. And so I picked up this skein while their yarn was with us. This is called The Mayor. I can't remember what movie it's from, but it's based on, like, they do colorways from movies. They'll do a whole collection, and this was one of, was this an Edward Scissorhands? I don't know why that is coming to mind. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know if I've seen Edward Scissorhands since I was like 3. So I have no idea. But it's a beautiful colorway. I love the purple and gold. And it's on their Cozy Toes base, which is a cashmere, merino, and nylon blend. And this pattern is one that I am hoping to release soon. I knit a pair of socks out of this with this pattern a couple of years ago, maybe, or a year or so ago. And I never released it because the yarn I knit them in was discontinued from the dyer. And while I'm not sure if Legacy is still dyeing up the Mayor, I know that it is like a possibility that they could, whereas this other colorway, it was like, absolutely, it will never be coming back. So yeah, it's a toe up pattern. It's got a really great texture on the top. And then I did a fish lips kiss heel, which is my favorite heel to do, and a stretchy bind off, just a 2x2 rib at the top. Not too long. I don't like my cuffs super long, just enough to go over my ankle a bit. And yeah, I love them. So they're blocked, ready to go. I just have to write up the pattern and maybe take a few better photos. I have some photos of them, but we'll see if I need some more. So speaking of the Legacy Fiber Arts Knit Your Stash Mal, I do have a work in progress that is going for that knit along. But I just remembered I mentioned talking about some sample knitting, and also you're probably like, are those the only projects you finished in the last 3 months? Well, no, they're not. But I knit 2 Alaska hats for Knit Circus, which is one of our best-selling kits. We sell 50-gram cakes of yarn to go into the Alaska hat, a gradient and a semi-solid. And if you've never seen the Alaska hat, it's on Ravelry. It's by Camille Descateau, and it is such a popular knit. We sell so many of those kits, and we do wholesale. So we wholesale our yarn to other shops as well as sell on our own website, knitcircus.com. And we went to the H&H trade show at the end of June, or like mid-June. I think it was like 2 weeks ago we got back. So this is like an international trade show. People come from all over. We, you know, have people come into our booth, look at our yarn, and then place orders for their shop. And the Alaska hats are some of the best-selling kits, both for wholesale and for retail. So we are offering new combinations of our gradients and our semi-solids. I think we offer them in like 7 or 8 different combinations now for wholesale. We have not released the new combinations on our website for retail yet, but I was knitting up the samples for those 2 hats so that they can, you know, our customers, our wholesale customers could see what they look like. And then eventually it'll go on our website so that, you know, knitters can see what these different combinations look like. It's always good to have a sample. Everyone wants to knit the knit with the yarn that's in the sample. So it's good to knit those up, and they're colorwork hats with like a tree motif, so they take a little bit longer. So I did knit 2 of those in the last couple of months. Really fun pattern, but I don't want to knit another one for a while. I've knit 3 now total. And yeah, I'm going to hold off on knitting another one for a bit. So when those become available, I will maybe post a picture on my Instagram. They'll definitely be on the Knit Circus Instagram and website. So keep your eye out for those, and keep your eye out in your local yarn store as well to see if your store is getting some Knit Circus. If you are a yarn store owner or know a yarn store owner that would like Knit Circus yarns, just message me or email or something, get a hold of me somewhere, Instagram. And yeah, we're still open for new wholesale orders. Oh, I can't talk. Okay, so back to my whip. This is what I've been working on lately since casting off the last Alaska hat that I knit. I cast that off like on our ride home from H&H because one of them I had gotten done, and the second one, the yarn hadn't been dyed or anything. So I was working on it while we were there. But I cast it off when we were on our way home, and then like the next day or a few days later when I had time, I started this. This is the, oh my gosh, So Faded Pint Sized, which is the kids version of the So Faded sweater by Andrea Mowry. And when it's like, you can't even really see the shape very well because it's all, I'm using 3 different colorways, not the 5 that she like calls for in the pattern, but she does say like you can obviously make it your own. Use as many or as little colors as you like. When the knit along was announced and Sue's move to Vermont was announced, they did a big sale, and they were putting together sets of like micro skeins. That's what they call their 50-gram skeins of yarn. And I ordered a set of 3 and messaged or emailed them later that morning because I was on an Instagram live with them, or I was watching an Instagram live, and ordered right away in the morning while I still had a chance, and messaged later on saying, hey, I would really, really love it to knit something for my new baby. We know that he's a boy, and if there's any, like if you could throw a skein of like green or blue or even like yellow, something gender neutral, I pretty much just didn't want all like pinks and purples, and it was like a mystery. I didn't get to choose my skeins. So I just kind of was like, if you have the time, blah, blah, blah. Like 2 hours later, I get an email back from Chelsea, and she's like, cool, like Sue is able to do this for you. We made a package for you with blues and greens and get it to you as soon as possible. I was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like, was not expecting that. And then I got the package, and it was so absolutely perfect because they pretty much fade together so well, especially these two. And then that blue in there, it's not quite the blue in this, but I think it still works. And it's just a fun little like pop of color. And I'm like, this is perfect. I was hoping for like, I don't know, knit like a lightweight hat or, you know, a couple little pairs of baby socks, or if I had enough, it would be amazing to do a baby sweater, but I wasn't counting on it. And all three of them worked so well. I felt so lucky that they had put the time in and just didn't just ignore that request, because I'm sure they were getting so many different requests and were so busy with this sale, and they were still able to kind of customize my order a little bit. It was amazing. So I have finished the body. I finished the body, I think on the 4th of July. We drove down to my mom's house in Illinois, finished the body then, and then started on the sleeves. So I'm almost, I think I have another maybe ½ inch, not quite a ½ an inch to go before I fade into that last blue color. So I'll do a few rows of fading, and then I'll finish off with the color. And I have less of the blue down here. I actually think it looks fine. It's not an even amount of like these two colors. But I think I measured wrong, or I just kept going with this one a little bit too long before I faded, but it's okay. I don't really care. I think it looks good. I think it balances out. I love the bright green at the top and this kind of earthy teal and brown, and yeah, so pretty. So this yarn is their Steel Toes base, which is a 75% superwash merino and a 25% nylon. And I will definitely have some leftovers, so I'll be able to do, yeah, maybe like a little hat or something, or just save it for later. Put some in my Cozy Memories blanket to kind of mark. It's definitely a memory. I love having yarn from the clothes I knit, you know, my little ones. So that'll be really fun to have that memory in there too. And I'll have, yeah, a little bit extra to play around with. So this project is being housed in a bag from Mid Mitten Designs. And I got this bag when I was in Chicago for YarnCon back at the beginning of April. And I cannot remember if I've podcasted since then. I don't think I have. So this is kind of new to you, as is, I'm going to show you the yarn I got at YarnCon. If it's a repeat of what I've showed before, I apologize, but I really don't think I've podcasted since then. So I saw this and I knew I needed to have it because we had just found out a few days before that we were having another little boy, and we decided, or I guess I decided maybe, to do his nursery in like forest, like cute forest baby theme. Not too like, I don't know, I've seen some that are just a little bit too over the top. This is going to be kind of earthy with like a few little foresty animals thrown in. But yeah, I just loved the little deer, and so cute. Oh, and I have been keeping, I forgot to put it back on after I finished the body of the sweater, but to just complete the theme, I have been keeping this little progress keeper on that sweater, and I used it for another sweater of the babies. I think I used it on the flax as well, but it's a little sleeping deer. And again, that reminded me of our new baby when I saw those on. This is from Katie of Lock and Lou, and I knew I needed to have it. It's so cute. And sorry, it's not really super focusing well, but you can see it enough, I think, hopefully. So yeah, I got to put that back on there and complete the theme. So that is really the only thing I'm working on right now, besides like once in a while I'll pick up my cozy memory. I think I finished a few squares in it since I podcasted, but I'll show that next time or on a vlog or something. I did show it a little bit on the farm vlog, so if you watched that, you would have seen me work on my cozy memory blanket. But let's talk yarn, because people, I haven't gone as crazy as I could in a 3-month span, but you know, I've added to my stash. That is for sure. Okay, so first I'll show you the yarn I got at YarnCon. I think this is when I went the most crazy. So, I bought myself and bought my mother-in-law a skein from Dye Mad Yarns, which is the first time I'd ever met them. They are a shop in Indiana, I want to say. And they were right next to us, so we kind of got to chat with them a little bit, get to know them a little bit. I should say Knit Circus was vending. We have been doing some fiber festivals and shows. So yeah, which has been really exciting. I love doing those. They're so much fun, even though they're a lot of work, and I've been pregnant for all of them that we've done this year. So it's been a lot, especially when we went up to Minnesota for Shepherd's Harvest. I was at the point where I couldn't help as much. That was in May, so I wasn't as pregnant as I am now, but still, I was tired quicker, I couldn't bend over very well, and I had to go to the bathroom a lot. So we actually brought my boss's younger sister, who used to work at Knit Circus as well. We brought her with, and she helped out a lot, and I don't know what we would have done without her. But yeah, that was a really fun show, and I'll talk about that in a second. But the first one that we did as a retail show was YarnCon in Chicago. So much fun, such a great show. Lots of more like hand-dyed yarns rather than like the farm. Like Shepherd's Harvest has a lot of like fleeces and a little bit more like natural yarns. Mills are there, a lot of mills are there, but they also do have like hand-dyed yarn. Whereas YarnCon is very much more like project bags and your typical indie dyed sort of stuff. So Dye Mad Yarns, they had some beautiful things, and I grabbed myself this skein of DK Weight because I just loved the colors. This is called Second Day of Snow, and it was part of their collection, I think last winter. They had a few like snow themed colorways. I bought my mother-in-law one of their Scorpio colorways because she is very into, sorry, I have like a hair that's itching me. She's very into astrology, and she is a Scorpio, and she's a knitter and a crocheter, and I just thought like she'd get a kick out of having a colorway interpretation of her sign. So got her that. I gave it to her. I think it was supposed to be for Mother's Day, and then I forgot to give it to her, and so I gave it to her for her retirement because she just retired from teaching. So it was kind of like we put together a gift and that got thrown into it. So yeah, so Dye Mad Yarns, this is 100% superwash merino DK. Super, super pretty. I love that. And then I think I did get a couple of mini skeins from them. So I got 2 of their Christmassy looking mini skeins, and my hope, I've been wanting to do this for a while, but I really want to make a scrappy blanket with all of my leftover Christmas like colorways that I've used for either Christmas like themed projects. I'm trying to think if I've done anything besides my Christmas Eve cast on. I don't know if I have, but I have some like greens and like reds and like pinkies that I think would look really, really pretty together, and then throw in the colorways I've used for Christmas Eve cast-ons. I've kept all of the leftovers of all of those, and I want to use them in a project. I love Christmas. I love knitting blankets, like fingering weight blankets. So I'm hoping to do that, and then throw in here and there some like themed minis that I pick up. So these two will hopefully eventually make it into my Christmas blanket. This one is called Yule, and this one is called Imbolc. I don't know. I'm going to show you. Imbolc. I apologize if I don't know what that means and everyone else does, but yeah. But I love those. Those are very pretty. So that was Die Mad. And I'm just going to throw that on the floor. Okay, the next thing I'll show you is this beautiful yarn from Why Not Fibers. And they were down the aisle from us, and I passed them by so many times. They had the most gorgeous yarn. Most of it was natural bases. I think they had a little bit of superwash, but most of it was natural bases, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted, something from their booth. And at first I thought I would knit our like new baby I don't know, like a natural sweater or something. I love the idea of that. I don't really have too much like non-superwash yarn just because of the nature of what I'm drawn to or who I buy from. I don't really have a whole lot of like natural fiber. So I was like, that'd be fun. Then I saw this colorway, and I thought that would be a really, really nice sweater for me. And I don't have natural non-superwash, especially in a sweater's quantity, in my stash. So I bought a lot of it. I think I have 5 total. Yeah, I have 5 total. This is their colorway Moss. It is 250 yards of sport weight, although it's like I don't know if it'd be sport weight. To me, it looks more like a DK or a light worsted because it's so fluffy. But I would have to do a gauge swatch for sure. And it is locally sourced 100% merino, non-superwash. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Even like pulling this out again, I'm struck by how incredibly gorgeous this is. And I think I want to do a sweater by, oh my gosh. I think it's called My Favorite Flannel. Oh my goodness. She's like a well-known designer. And my brain is just totally blanking right now. Alicia Plummer. Yes, I think that's it. I think I remembered. Yeah, so if it's not the My Favorite Flannel, which I know I have in my like library on Ravelry, it's another sweater by her that kind of has, I think it's going to look really well, like the texture is going to look really well in a non-superwash yarn. I think that one's done in a DK as well, which I figured the gauge of this would be like okay for that. So yeah, hopefully that will work. And then I came across a dyer that I hadn't seen in a long time, and I was so happy. Let me just grab all of these out of here. So happy to see her. She was actually at Shepherd's Harvest as well, though I had already picked up some stuff a month earlier at YarnCon, so I didn't get anything from her at Shepherd's Harvest. But this is Sassy Songstress. I have talked about her yarn a few times on here because I knit one of my Christmas socks with her skein, and I have another skein of her stuff in my stash. And I didn't know if she was dyeing yarn anymore, but I was really, really happy to see she is. I absolutely love her use of speckles and was so excited. I looked at her stuff a few times and then went back and picked up this beautiful skein. Her base is that like really nice 80 merino, 20% nylon. And I love this is my favorite like twist, is that sort of two ply like bouncier fingering weight twist. And you see a lot of the 80-20s in this kind of a ply. You don't see too much 75-25. Those tend to be a little bit more of like the sturdy plied yarns. This one's a little more fluffy. So this one's called Blinded by the Light. It has 400 yards, and her base, the 80-20, is called Crooner. And yeah, I just love the blues and I mean, look at those speckles. Oh my gosh. So pretty. And then she had some mini skeins, which I also just loved. I loved this colorway. She didn't have a full skein of this, I don't think. Look how pretty that is. And this one's called Smells Like Teen Spirit. And I got 2. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Some of it will go in my cozy memory. Some of it will maybe be some baby socks or something. I don't know. I just love the oranges and the gray and the brown. It's so pretty. And then I haven't even looked at the color names of these. Fairy Feller's Master Stroke. I thought that one was pretty. Again, it's just fun to have some mini skeins. This one is called Caramel. And this actually, that's like a grayish purple in there, which I really, really liked. Again, I wish I don't think this one was a full skein either. And then Someday My Love, which again, I had baby on the mind that weekend, of course, which you always do when you're pregnant, but especially like it was kind of newer. I was only about 20 weeks along and we had just found out we were having a boy. So it was like everything reminded me of baby knits. But yeah, who knows where those mini skeins will end up, but it's fun to have some in my stash. So that was everything I bought at YarnCon. Sometime this spring, but it says right on the label. In April, Palmer Yarn Company was having a mini skein club. She did a couple of these, I think, but I signed up for the April one and got mine in the mail. So I opted for the 10 gram minis, but she also had an option for 20. And these are on her 80% merino, 20% nylon fingering weight base. They're 40 yards each and 10 grams a piece. So super pretty springy combination there. I love Palmer Yarn Co. As you guys know, my Advent was with her last year. I think she still has some Advents up if you're looking for one. I am not doing her Advent this year because I like to kind of switch it up. But yeah, it was gorgeous. If you, again, watch my Vlogmas, you'll have seen literally all of them because I opened one each day. And then at Shepherd's Harvest in Lake Elmo, Minnesota, in May, we got in a little bit of trouble, the best kind of trouble, because Utopia Fiber shop and mill was right across the aisle from us. And I stared and stared and stared at that yarn all weekend long. And of course, I came away with some. That was the only yarn I bought the whole weekend. I was so proud of myself. But I did buy this little pack of yarn. Speaking of non-superwash, I think Utopia's is some of the only, I mean, that's not true. I do have a skein here and there of like natural. Oh my gosh, I'm looking behind me and I realized this is new as well. So I'll talk about that in a second. Speaking of non-superwash and about going to shows this spring, yes, this is, where does it say? Okay, Ridge Sport mini set. It's 4 skeins of 75 yards each of 100% fine wool processed at Utopia Fiber Mill. And their fiber mill is in Lafarge, Wisconsin. Their shop, Utopia, is in Viroqua. So if you are local in Wisconsin, I highly recommend going there. And I just loved the earthy, this is like our super dark, like wine colored, and with the green and the, so pretty. So yeah, grab that. And then I have a lot of this in my stash that I need to use at some point. This particular yarn base, which is the BFL BFF. I have at least 2 sweater quantities of this. But I just love it so much, and I've collected it over the years. I'll show this colorway first. They had some of this colorway that they originally released in 2020 for the virtual version of Rhinebeck. And I actually had ordered a skein of sock yarn, like, you know, typical superwash sock yarn in this colorway, because it is called Hudson Valley. And I had just had little baby Hudson about a month and a half before that. And I kind of participated online when we were all stuck at home in 2020 and ordered a skein of the Hudson Valley sock yarn. And then she had some of it on this base, which I absolutely love. I just look at those. It's so subtle, and yet you get purples and maroons and with the brown and a little bit of like a dark blue, which is why I also grabbed a skein of indigo on the BFL BFF. I should say this is 100% BFL wool, right? Yeah. 100% blue face luster, which is right there on the tag, and it's a DK weight. And I figured the indigo could go well with this if I wanted to do like a 2-color project. If not, I have other colors in my stash I might be able to pair it with, or just knit something with this color because it's beautiful. So I got those 2 as well at their booth, and that's the only yarn I bought there. But I forgot to talk about the end of April. We also vended at the Wisconsin Alpaca Festival, which was held right here in Madison. And that was really, really fun to see all the alpacas and to, you know, see all the yarn. It was a smaller, like, fiber section, yarn section. But I did end up seeing this beautiful skein of 100%, right? Is this 100%? Yeah, 100% alpaca. And I love the barber pole look. Has that hand spun look to it. And it's from the Alpaca Yarn Company. It was at a booth where she just kind of had random, it wasn't all of this brand. It was somebody who was selling lots of different brands of yarn, but this one just caught my eye because I love that minty color. And I think it is called mint. Yeah, mint chip. It is a worsted weight. Yep, worsted weight with 165 yards. So pretty. I did add that as well to my stash in April. So I wasn't as bad as I could have been, but I did definitely break any sort of yarn diet that I was hoping to keep. I don't know. Beginning of the year, I did hold off for a while before buying yarn. I think YarnCon being at a show was really the tipping point, and I ended up splurging a little bit. And then from there, just ordered a few things here and there. But yeah, so not as bad as it could have been, but that's all right. It's fun. And now I'm trying to be a little better. I have gotten a couple of things I'll show maybe when I cast on. A couple of things from Knit Circus that I'm going to knit for the baby. But I justify that a little more because I get a really great discount. So it's a little bit better than ordering, but I mean, still don't want to go too crazy. So I have some plans. I have a baby blanket plan and some matching sweaters for Hudson and the new baby. We'll see how far I get before this baby's born. And I'm really hoping to, during my maternity leave, have a little bit of downtime where I can knit a little bit. Thinking back to Hudson's, when I was on maternity leave for Hudson, I did get a little bit of knitting done, but not a whole lot. This time around, we are not in the middle of a pandemic, though don't worry, we are still going to be very careful and only have a select number of people around him at the beginning. But Hudson was born when the pandemic was in full force. No one was vaccinated. We didn't even have the vaccine yet. And we still had no idea when it was going to end. My husband and I were alone for the first few weeks. And when I think my mom and my stepdad came for a little while, at one point my sister met him for came for like 10 minutes, was completely masked and gloved, and my mother-in-law, they came and looked at him from a distance, so there was no like, let me hold him while you relax a little bit, or I'm gonna make dinner while you, so we were like so on our own, that I have to keep reminding myself that it's gonna be a little bit different this time. We are gonna have a few people that are fully vaccinated and fully boosted, and when he comes, they're going to be very conscious of where they go and who they interact with, and that will hopefully give us a chance to have more people around him, like my mother-in-law, like my mom and my sister and my sister-in-law. So yeah, it's going to be hopefully a little bit easier, and we're going to have a little bit more help, and I'm excited about that. I'm relieved about that, I should say. So yeah, maybe I'll get a little bit more relaxation and knitting and all of that while they're kind of hanging out and holding him, and yeah. So anyway, to be determined, I suppose, on that one. But I also wanted to quickly mention before I head out that I'm really pleased I was able to get this whole thing recorded. But I am doing a little bit of a de-stash right now. I have the first batch of yarn up on my Ravelry account in the like will trade or sell section of my profile. So again, that's Driftless Knitter. I have been meaning to do a little bit of a de-stash since we moved. We've been in this house for about 1.5 years now, but didn't want to, I think I donated a little bit of like some not great quality stuff that I had accumulated. But this stuff is like really special, and of course, there's a part of me that doesn't want to de-stash them, but I know there's a lot of this I'm not going to use. What you see behind me is, there's more up there, and there's more down there. This is maybe about 1/3 of what I have total, and I've been collecting it for the last like 13 or so years, since I've been like really into the knitting world, the fiber world, and I've worked at yarn shops or at yarn companies in that time for about 12 years now. So I've been able to collect a lot. I have knit with a lot, but also there's a lot I'm never going to get to. It's beautiful stuff. Some of it, I even have a colorway that I picked up, like the like Miss Babs colorway from Rhinebeck 2015 when I went, and I bought it on a lace weight, and I just realized I'm never going to knit with a lace weight. It's beautiful, but I should pass it on to someone who would use it and who would appreciate it. So things like that. I've got some Madeline Tosh. What else? Honey Girl Farms, a skein from her. I can't think of all of them right now. Like I said, Miss Babs. But this is just kind of a handful of yarn I set aside the other day. I'm going to go through the rest of my stuff and slowly put things onto Ravelry. I also, depending on if there's some traction on Ravelry, I'll also put it on my Instagram, or at least refer people. I know not everyone can access Ravelry, but maybe put up some pictures on a DStash account and then have people like comment or inquire about them, and we can work something out from there. But yeah, so it's all good. It's, you know, just making room, getting a little bit of extra money, because it's always good to have a little bit when you have a baby coming, and pass along some yarn I know I'm not going to use to someone who might. And obviously I'm still acquiring, so yeah, definitely not getting rid of things to just get rid of them. I'm being very conscious about, yeah, what I'm passing along. So go check that out if you'd like to. If you have questions about any of it, I'm not going to show it all on camera because there is quite a bit, but yeah, hopefully if you're interested, you can find something you love, and I'd love to send things out to you guys. So I hope to be back before the baby's born, but I'm not sure if I will be, given my track record, but who knows? Crazier things have happened. In the meantime, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of you for watching. You can reach out to me and follow me on Instagram and Ravelry. I also just created a Threads account, which is interesting. I think I've posted 2 things. It's kind of like the Twitter for people who don't want to use Twitter, and much more of like, not as much photo and video, more, you know, word posting and quotes and stuff like that. So anyway, if you're interested, if you're on Threads, give me a follow, and yeah, connect there. And I'll be back. Hopefully I'll keep posting. I'll keep you guys in the loop. And I am so grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great few weeks or months or whatever it is until I see you again, and make all of the things, do all of the things that make you happy. And I will be doing the same. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend. Bye.